to the end zone. It's Robinson for the touchdown.
What's up, everybody, and welcome into Out of Hibernation, USN's Bears pregame show. I am Tarbill, as always. With me, I've got my guy Angelo Ace Camacho to my left. What's up, Ace? How we doing this morning, man?
What up, Tarbill? Not bad, man. I'm just kind of waking up myself. You know, it's a gloomy Sunday out there, a little chilly today. We'll see how it goes. I got to between the Bears game and 3 p.m., I got to get my Halloween decorations set up. It'll be a fun Sunday.
Absolutely, man. And like you said, kind of a gloomy day out a little bit. The Bears are obviously out in New York today, playing the Giants, and the Bears have a very winnable game in front of them, in my opinion. So we'll get into that a little bit more in detail, but man, it's been an interesting week as a Bears fan. A lot of news coming out. Obviously, David Montgomery being quote-unquote day-to-day and then listed as officially inactive last night. Disappointing, obviously, for the run game. Fortunately, the Bears do have a steady backup in Khalil Herbert that should be able to carry the load and manage. I mean, he did fantastic last week, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns. Excellent performance out of Khalil Herbert, and that's exactly what you need from the depth at the running back position. You know, you see it time and time again. I always think of the 49ers when I look at running back depth. You know, you've got Wilson Jr., who's probably would be a starter on 10 teams in this league, I would argue, and he's just the guy that's sitting on the bench waiting to go in. So it's one of those things where that depth is super important, and they have it. Luckily, with what the Bears have here, they're building a very good running back room with Khalil Herbert, and then I'm excited about Ebner as well. He ran hard in the preseason. He's had a couple rookie mistakes early on, but I think
fumble last week, right?
Yeah, but I think we see him step into a obviously larger role with Montgomery out. They'll probably mix it up, do some rhythm change with Ebner today, and I think that'll be good for his development, and let's see what the kid's made of. I mean, late round pick, maybe he's got some potential there. I liked what I saw out of him in preseason. Obviously, the fumble, you know, rookie mistakes, you got to clean those up, but overall, this Bears team has a strong running back room, so overall, with David Montgomery going down, I'm not overly concerned. There are much larger things that I'm concerned about on this Bears team.
I agree.
Namely
100%.
our guy, Justin Fields.
Yep.
Last week, we came out and said Justin Fields was going to have a big game against the Houston Texans.
A big shit game.
Our guy Turtle joined us and said that he was going to throw for like 300 yards or something and 3 touchdowns. Obviously, that did not happen.
No,
Justin Fields looks lost out there.
Yep.
That's my biggest concern with this Bears team is the fact that your QB1, your guy, you know, the future of this franchise does not look like he's consistently ready, and he looks scared out there. He looks like he's running for his life. Obviously, some of that's to do with the pass pro. He's holding the ball way too long. Just it was like Mitch Trubisky flashback a little bit last week watching him against that Texans team. Like,
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't know if Mitch ever looked that bad. Like,
he probably didn't.
If I'm being
honestly.
honest, like last week
that was atrocious quarterback play. I mean, there's no other way to say it.
Yeah, it was
like
rough.
Geno Smith looked better than Justin Fields last week. Let that soak in for a
Well,
minute.
right, and that's what kind of frustrates me the most is like we're watching other teams, you know, like the Seahawks, for instance. that are still throwing the ball. They might not be putting up a lot of points, but they're still throwing the ball. And Fields and the Bears, they're what, Fields throw 11 completions last week? Like, that's awful, man. You can't expect to win a game with 11
pass attempts through 3 weeks.
He's got under 300 yards passing in 3 weeks of football. That's awful.
Look at it this way. Josh Allen threw the ball 50 times in their loss against Miami. So, obviously, Justin Fields is not on the level of Josh Allen yet, and I'm nowhere near implying that. But just realistically, man, Fields looked bad. I think we all know it. I don't want to dwell on it. I want to say that he's going to have a bounce-back game this week. All football players have bad weeks, right? But that was worst of the worst, unfortunately, out of Justin Fields last week. And, you know, as the quote says below, are you losing sleep over the play of Justin Fields? Not necessarily losing sleep yet, but if he comes out and looks like he did last week again this week, it's going to raise a lot of questions for this organization, right?
So let me ask you something. Do you think that this Bears offense is going to look any different than it did last week? In terms of, do you think they go out of their way to pass the ball more, or do you think they stick to the plan like they did last week?
I think they feed the hot hand. If the run game's working early on, I think they're going to stick with it. You know, unfortunately, that's not what we want to see for Justin Fields' development, right? We want to see him out there passing the ball 25 to 30 times a game would be the sweet spot for me, not putting up Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen stat lines by any means. I don't want him throwing the ball 50 times a game, but I'd like to see him right around that 25. I'm going to say 27 passes would be kind of the sweet spot for me. That if he's hitting on the passes and the rhythm's building, I think that would be a good sweet spot to have him at. With that being said, I think if you come out and you start rushing like we did last week, it's hard to go away from those running backs, right? You have to feed the hot hand. So it's a double-edged sword, right? Us as Bears fans want to see the development of Justin Fields, but from a game planning perspective, the run worked last week, and that's what won us the game ultimately. That and obviously the big-time interception by our guy Roquan Smith there at the end. But realistically, I think it's tough to say, Ace. I don't want to say that they're going to go out and throw, 70% of the time to try to build confidence for Justin Fields. If they want to do it, this is the week to do it, though. I mean, you look at this Giants secondary, man. Cooper Rush looked like Tom Brady playing against the damn team last week. So there's definitely opportunity for Justin Fields to go out and have a big game if he executes. But, man, he surely has to execute, and that's been the issue as of late. I don't know what the situation is with the offensive line. Is Lucas Patrick stepping into that center role this week?
I was actually just looking up. I was just trying to figure out if he was going to play center. I can't find anything at the moment. But
I'll say this again. Hopefully Olin Kreutz is not watching. Sam Mustipher is garbage. He does not need to be a starting offensive lineman, much less the starting center. I mean, the botched snaps last week, the bad timing and execution, getting bulldozed and letting free rushers basically have their way with Justin Fields. It's not a good look, and I get it. He's a great kid. He's got all the heart in the world. He is, the type of player that you would like to be a leader on this team. His play has not backed it up thus far for me.
No, I definitely think
it was an issue last year as well. I mean, we talked about it last year in depth that, although he was a very vocal player, he was the weakest link on that offensive line last year, in my opinion. And that's saying something considering some of the guys we had. I mean, we had 47-year-old Jason Peters out there last year.
Right, and he was the best offensive lineman that they had last season. So, I don't know. It's obviously we knew the offensive line was going to be a weak point of this offense. I don't think anybody expected.
Though? I have to stop you there because I was optimistic about this offensive line. I mean, Tevin Jenkins, Larry Borum, both looking good at the end of last season, coming out strong, having fairly good preseason outings. And then you've got the addition of Lucas Patrick. I was excited about the fact that they had made the moves necessary at least to try to protect Justin Fields, but thus far it hasn't panned out. I mean, in my opinion, obviously they upgraded the line from last year, but clearly it wasn't enough. I mean, the run block is great, but it doesn't transition to the pass block. I shouldn't say great, but the run blocking is there.
If you look at statistically, the Bears' running game has been one of the highlights of the season so far. So I don't think you're outrageous to say that.
It is, however, frustrating.
Pass protection is awful. I don't think Fields is helping that offensive line much by holding the ball as long as he's holding it.
Definitely.
I know you had brought up how he looks very unsettled, right? In the pocket. He looks shook at times. And I don't know if it's because the game started with that fumble and maybe it just threw him out of a groove and threw the rest of the team out of the groove. But if you're the franchise quarterback, you have to be able to take something like that little fumble, right? You got the ball back and you have to be able to shake it off. You have to be able to be like, okay, yeah, whatever. It was one mistake, one hiccup. We got it. But then they went and did good things that drive, but you have to put yourself in a situation where you're giving this young quarterback confidence, whether that's a quick screen pass or a slant route that get the Bears bragged about the speed of their wide receivers all offseason, right?
And where is it? We have yet to see it so far this season.
All they're doing is sending vertical down the field, hoping these guys beat somebody. Why not do a quick slant or a screen, set up some blocks, give these guys with all that speed the ability to catch the ball and make something happen. Give your young quarterback some confidence going into the next play. He is just
I absolutely agree. It's about rhythm.
Right, and he's getting hit all the time back there. A lot, like I said before, not all the offensive linemen's fault, but when you're sitting back there and you're just expecting to get hit, it reminds me of Cutler, right? After a while, Cutler was getting hit so often that I feel he just started.
I'm sorry.
Are you trying to mock me? I can't understand.
That's my guy. But it reminds me of towards the end of the time in Chicago, he was just so tired of getting hit that I feel he was just launching the ball just to get rid of it, And
so I definitely understand what you're saying there, and it was almost Cutler-esque last week. The thing was more concerning for me that reminded me of Jay Cutler was the way that he was almost pouting on the sidelines.
Yeah, that's a good call.
You saw Justin go sit on the bench, and he was frustrated, obviously. We were all frustrated, right? And he's a competitor. He wants to win. So I get being frustrated, but you can't let the camera catch you with a shot of disappointment on your face. And, you look like you're in school and somebody just stole your lunch money on the bench. That's not a good look for the Chicago Bears franchise. I mean, I get it. You're frustrated. You're a competitor. You want to win, but at the end of the day, it's put up or shut up, right? You've got to be able to perform. And if you don't, that next drive, you better go out there and do something. And we just didn't see it. It was so inconsistent. And like you said, he looked scared, unsettled. Yep. You're just running around, hoping not to get sacked, really. Not even. What frustrated me the most was the first interception where he threw into double, if not triple coverage.
Yeah.
That was a bad throw. The thing that frustrated me the most, Equanimeous St. Brown was wide open, streaking down the left side of the field. He did not look back to that read. That's concerning. Those are the things that are more concerning for me than just his ability. I mean, he'll get rid of the ball. It's going to happen. His mechanics are going to come through. That portion doesn't necessarily concern me as much, but his reads, the way he's reading the defense and, not getting back to that third read in that scenario where EQ is wide open on the sideline, you throw a dart to him, that's a touchdown. Those are the type of plays that I consider inexcusable as a Bears fan. And as an analyst of this organization, I just think that it's unfortunate that they've put him in this position, right? And it was the same thing we kind of said with Mitch and Nagy. How much was Nagy? How much was Mitch? I think we're seeing the answer to that play out in Pittsburgh for sure. Although Tomlin's sticking to his guns and saying that Mitch is his guy and he's not ready to make a move. So that tells you maybe he sees something in practice and they just need a little bit more time to gel over there. But back to Justin Fields in this current regime, it's like our number one receiver is a number 2 at best on any other team.
Yep.
Our number 2 and 3 guys are bench players on other teams, realistically. And, well, I shouldn't say that because Bayless is coming out. We got to give him the opportunity, see what he's going to do. But, I mean, EQ, when he was on the Packers, was a very limited, like a depth piece.
Yep.
And Pringle never really broke out in KC. A lot argued that was primarily due just to the depth they had at wide receiver at the time. But he's out for, 4 weeks now, I believe?
Yep.
And, when you don't have a deep wide receiver room, which the Bears do not, I don't think anyone's going to argue that point. It's detrimental to the offense to lose a key piece like Pringle. And I say a key piece, it's not like he's been that much of an impact player by any means this season. But
when your wide receiver room is as limited as the Bears, any little hiccup is going to cause
now you're
mass
throwing
confusion.
to guys like Dante Pettis, and I think they brought Isaiah Coulter up to activate this week, kind of as a depth piece. But yeah, as the screen says, Bayless Jones Jr., what do you expect? I'm going to let you take the lead on this one, Ace. I want to hear your opinion.
All right, so it's hard to evaluate because we didn't really see him a whole lot. But we did see him returning some kicks, which if
with some
that,
Devin Hester-esque speed,
I don't know if I'd say that, but it can't be worse than what's already happening with the Bears.
Right.
They need somebody who's going to be able to get them that field position because this offense is struggling to get any field position. And something as simple as running the ball out to the 40-yard line, like that switches momentum. It gives your offense a better chance to make something happen. But then if it doesn't happen, you're in the position where you flip the field, right? You put the other team backed up. And I feel like that's where the Bears have really struggled a lot lately is they're not able to move the ball. So when they are punting, they're punting the ball and the other team's getting it at their 40. And you're the ones that are backed up. And then if you stop them, you're still backed up. And your offense hasn't proven that they can take that step forward to help you get any type of traction. Yeah, you'll have that broken play here and there, or like last week he had that 29-yard run, and like you see those little flashes.
That was nice.
It was nice, but
it's not enough.
Right? I don't want flashes, right? Like I want this to be consistent. You watch teams like Kansas City and Green Bay, and you see a quarterback who's able to consistently move the ball down the field, right?
Right.
The Bears don't have that right now. Whether it's their we're going to stick with the run, or, they don't trust Fields or whatever. But you need to be able to see that kind of growth other than just, boom, a flash play or a flash touchdown here and there.
Right.
I'm hoping that Bayless Jones is able to give them a little confidence on offense in terms of, like I said, with the return game, or get, like I talked earlier, get this guy in space, give him the ball on a quick slant, a screen, let him make something happen, build that momentum for your young quarterback. I don't know what Justin just looks so, I don't want to say disinterested, but very,
he's rattled. He looks uneasy. He doesn't look comfortable.
Yep.
Which is something, not to interrupt you there, but that's something that is really kind of concerning for me is when you looked at him play at Ohio State, and even last year, he looked much more comfortable in the pocket. And then he comes out, obviously it's preseason, and we go back to that game against the Browns and just hitting everybody, timing perfect. It's like, okay, this is our guy. Week 1, we write it off to weather. Week 2, you're playing a tough Packers team, and if the refs weren't in Aaron Rodgers' pocket, arguably that would have been a 1-score game. Maybe momentum changes. The Bears have a chance to win.
Right.
Week 3, you come out against a very beatable team, and we're biting our nails until the end of the game, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things where we thought the Bears were going to win by 10-plus points, and then we get to the fourth quarter, and it's like, oh, shit, this is going to come down to who can score last.
Yeah.
And that's not what you want to be in with a bad team like the Houston Texans.
And
if it wasn't for Roquan Smith's interception, arguably the Bears lose that game. Then we're sitting here at 1-2, and I'm glad the Bears are 2-1, but I'm not feeling good about them right now with the way this offense is played at all.
Yeah, and that's the thing we talked about before the season started was what's more important, wins or watching Fields develop? Last week you had the ball before halftime with a minute and a half, 45
seconds.
Under
a minute, 43 seconds or something like
with
that.
3 timeouts.
3 timeouts. And you don't run the 2-minute drill and let him drive the ball down the field.
Yep.
What are you doing?
Right. What better opportunity
to
put some pressure on your quarterback to see if, hey, can this kid step up? And if he can't, at least it gives you film to look at and dissect on, okay, well, what went wrong in this situation? What could we have done better? But they just decided to take a knee.
If he can't, you have to have faith in your defense that they can shut down a 20, 30-second drive by the other team. I mean, even if he goes 3 and out, as long as he doesn't throw an interception, there's not really going to be enough time for the opposing team to put points on the board. I mean, Davis Mills is not Tom Brady here. Like,
no.
That was what was most infuriating to me. It's like, if this is the time to take a shot, take a shot. Like, now or never, and they don't do it. I'm wondering at this point if the Bears coaching staff is seeing something that's concerning with Fields in practice during the week behind closed doors. There's something going on that, I don't want to speculate about off the field issues or anything, but what is going on here? What is the coaching staff seeing? Why do they not have faith in this quarterback? That's ultimately the biggest issue. Is you have to have 100% trust and faith in Justin Fields moving forward for this offense to be successful.
Without a doubt.
I don't want us to be drafting another quarterback in 3 to 4 years. I know our guy, Alan Bratcher, shout out to him, shared something about Arch Manning and said, this could be the next Bears quarterback if Justin Fields doesn't pan out, although he wants to see Justin Fields pan out. And it's frustrating. It's concerning. Our guy Brent here in the chat saying they know something we don't. I don't want to allude to it, but that's my immediate thought as well, is that this coaching staff is seeing something that's just not clicking with Justin Fields, and they're concerned. And honestly, if they weren't, they would have given him the ball in that situation. You've got 3 timeouts, run the 2-minute drill. No better way to build confidence for your quarterback than run the 2-minute drill, execute right before half, and put up some points on the board, end the half on a strong note.
Right. You want to know what they're seeing that we don't? You want to know what they're seeing? They're seeing week 1, 121 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 85 quarterback rating. Week 2, 70 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, 43 quarterback rating. Week 3, 106 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 27 QBR rating. That's what they're seeing in practice. And that's why they're not running the ball. Do you think
that bad in practice, though?
I mean, the whole offseason, I listen to ESPN 1000.
All offseason.
I listen to ESPN 1000 more than most, I would say. I listen to it all day.
As I do as well, yes.
And you would hear Bears reporters come on, talk about like, okay, well, let's temper expectations. This offense is new. They have struggled. But then we watch week 3 of the preseason with the Bears throwing the ball all over a third-string Cleveland defense, and we automatically are like, oh, no, that's it. To the moon. We're going to make the playoffs. We're about to win 10 games, this stuff. Like, yeah.
I wouldn't say to the moon, but, yeah, I mean,
well, better than we expected, right? But you're also you went against a defense that didn't have 2 of their top pass rushers on the field. Like,
that's true.
Then you go in against the 49ers. Yeah, the weather's bad. That's an excuse. We used it, whatever. Packers, okay, it's Aaron Rodgers, right? We figured that would be a loss anyways.
Yes.
But then you go against a Texans team that's on par with you, and if not worse. And he just looked, I wouldn't even say bad. He looked awful.
I mean, he literally came out in the post-game presser and said, and I quote, "I played like trash." He said, "I'd say the A word, but I don't want to get fined."
Right.
I'm not going to get fined, so I'm going to say it here. You played like ass, Justin Fields.
He played like ass.
At the end of the day, like you said, alluding back to our statement from the beginning of the season, I would rather lose games and see Justin Fields develop than the opposite. And right now, what we're seeing is this team winning games and Justin Fields regress almost, in my opinion, after last week. I mean, that's what's most concerning, is this is supposed to be the future of our organization in Justin Fields, and so far it's not looking real good.
It's not looking good at all. He does look like he's regressed from last year significantly, and it's rough.
It's absolutely rough. Now, before we finish talking about our guy Justin Fields, we have to get into our segment. For those of you joining us new today, we have a weekly segment called The Bare Bones, where we talk about 3 keys to the Chicago Bears victory each and every week. And obviously, we've been talking a lot of Justin Fields. I want to get into it, so let's jump into this. All right, guys, as previously alluded, this is the Bare Bones segment right here on Out of Hibernation, USN's Bears pregame show. Appreciate all of you that are joining us this morning as we get ready for what should be a winnable game out there in New York against a not-so-good Giants team. I shouldn't say not so good. I mean, same record as the Bears, right? But ultimately, Cooper Rush shredded their secondary, and that makes me feel a little bit better about Justin Fields. So, Bare Bones, each and every week we give our keys to a Bears victory right here on Out of Hibernation. And as usual, we're going to go through, we've got 3 things today that we think are going to be keys to the success of the Chicago Bears team. And we've been talking Justin Fields. Number 1 has to be Justin Fields having a good game. What do I allude as a good game? I would say Justin Fields needs to throw for at minimum 2 touchdowns today. Well, I should say have 2 touchdowns today. If he throws for 1 and runs 1 in and he looks crisp all game, that'll be an improvement over last week. I'm thinking Justin Fields needs to be over 200 today for this team to get a win against the Giants. I know it's frustrating. It might not be attainable after what we saw last week. I'm hoping Bayless Jones breaks a couple big ones and builds some momentum early. Justin Fields is very much a rhythm-based, momentum-based quarterback. I mean, you see it time and time again. He comes out and executes on a really good drive, and then the following drive does the same. Oh, we haven't seen it so much this season, but towards the tail end of last season, we did see, that rhythm really push him and make him excel. They come out and run like a 2-minute drill scenario like they did last year, and then they come out right after half looking really crisp. We need to see that out of Justin Fields in this offense today. I'm going to say Justin Fields, 2 touchdowns, over 200 yards, 0 interceptions today. I think he bounces back and finally delivers where he needs to deliver. What's your take on this, Ace?
So, with a franchise quarterback, right? Let's say Aaron Rodgers had a game like Justin Fields had last week. You would not expect him to come out and have a game similar to that the following week, right? You'd expect him to come out and be like, hey, that was a hiccup game. It's not going to happen again. My fear is that this game is going to look very similar to last week, where the Bears are going to play
27 QBR.
I'm hoping not that. I would love to see it over 100, but
2 interceptions.
If I'm being realistic, he hasn't proven anything this whole season yet that he can even get close to the kind of performance. I think.
Well, he was waking up an hour earlier to go to the stadium last week, so maybe he slept in this week. And or a little more fresh.
I mean, he could wake up an hour earlier, but if he's not going to bed an hour sooner, then he's actually losing sleep. You know what I mean? Like, the problem is, obviously Fields has to be the number one, the number one key to winning this game. I would
He's
be
the guy.
satisfied.
He's got to be the guy.
I would be satisfied even if he just had one touchdown with,
He won more than last week, right?
175, 180 yards, and didn't make the bonehead interception or didn't.
Okay.
I want to see him decide to throw the ball to an open receiver instead of just, okay, well, I'm going to take off and run.
Are you like trying to mock me? I can't understand.
Obviously, his legs are a part of the offense. It helps, make everything run. But at the end of the day, if your quarterback's missing a guy down the field that's wide open
That's
and deciding
concerning.
to take right, if he's not confident enough to make that throw, that concerns me. I want to see him make that throw. I don't care if it's intercepted. I don't care if it's airmailed past the guy. I want to see him
Stick your foot in the ground and make that throw.
Throw that ball downfield, because I would rather see him do that and struggle than see him do what he's doing and struggle, because at least it shows growth towards moving the ball forward. That's all I want to see. I want to see the Bears and Justin take shots downfield, look more comfortable in the pocket, and deliver balls past 15 yards. Like that's what I'm hoping to see.
You saw so much of the deep ball accuracy when he was in college, and why not take a shot? There's nothing wrong with on 1st and 10 taking a shot downfield, as long as it's a playable ball for the receiver. He throws something to the outside corner, puts the ball where it's either playable or it's out of bounds. Throw something like that 30 yards down the field. If Justin Fields comes out and throws a 30-yard pass on the first drive of this series and then starts to build momentum and look solid the rest of the game, I don't think it's unorthodox to think that he could be over 200 yards.
I agree.
It's just a matter of executing, and they have to start fast. That's where this team has struggled so much this year, is that they start so inconsistent, and the only thing that works is the run game. Justin Fields loses confidence, and then you see this team, I don't even know what to describe it as. It's like the flame burns out so quickly on the passing game that we're in a 200 to 300 rushing yard scenario, and it's not what we want to see as fans, and it's not what's going to develop our guy.
I couldn't imagine being a wide receiver for this offense. And I said that last year with the Nagy offense.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
This offense looks worse. Could you imagine? Like, Darnell Mooney has what? 10 yards?
4 catches?
Yeah, he's got more than 10 yards, but not much more.
He's got 4 catches, like 7 targets on the season through 3 weeks. If I was him, I'd be going into Coach Eberflus's office like, hey, man, I'm here. I'm supposed to be the number 1 guy, or Getsy, whoever he needs to talk to. Like, don't get me wrong. Some of it's on Darnell for not creating the separation that he needs to for Justin to get him the ball. But at the end of the day, that's only an excuse for so long. You're an NFL wide receiver. You need to step up, get open for your quarterback, and your quarterback needs to get you the ball ultimately.
He has 4 receptions for 27 yards in 3 games.
That's crazy. So as we move to our next bare bones here, I'm going to switch it up on you a little bit, Ace, and I'm going to say our guy Cole Kmet has to have a big game this afternoon as well. We saw some flashes with Cole over the last couple weeks. Throw the ball to the tight end. There's nothing wrong with that. I love watching a tight end play where he runs up the middle of the field, 25 yards, you throw a dart to him, and it's a contested catch. That's fine.
Right.
I don't care. I think you need to get Cole Kmet more involved in the passing game and stop thinking of him so much as a run blocker, because he's a big target that you can utilize, and he's a safety valve for your quarterback, right?
Right.
That's exactly what tight ends are. You look at the 49ers and George Kittle, Kansas City and Travis Kelce. All of these top-tier tight end talent guys are safety valves for their quarterback, and I believe that Cole Kmet still could have a good year. I have not given up on him yet. I think it's too early to write off Cole Kmet at this point. He's doing what the coaching staff is allowing him to do, right? If they're only going to let him be targeted 3 times a game and he goes 1 for 3, that's not all on him. Again, utilize the tight end in the pass game. And I'm gonna say Cole Kmet has a touchdown today. I think he's gonna be your red zone target on a shallow cross or something simple like that. Maybe a nice easy curl route. He goes up for a 50-50 ball that's immaculately placed by our guy Justin Fields, and
immaculately placed.
He comes down with it. Vocabulary,
let me just tell you this.
Big words aside.
You want to talk about Cole Kmet? Let me tell you about Cole Kmet.
You want to talk about mothers?
Yeah. You want to talk about Cole? Yeah, Cole Kmet. I've thought to myself, this has to be the game that this guy breaks out in, and I've thought that since last year. Since week 1 of last year. This has to be the game that this guy breaks out
This is the week.
This is the game he gets a 2-touchdown game. This is.
That sounds like this is our year. And it never pans out.
And it never pans out. The dude never delivers. Every time I say the dude needs to have a big game, he'll go out there and drop like 6 passes.
So let me ask you this. Is it a utilization issue or is it a Cole issue?
So you mean like, is he not being targeted enough to get into a rhythm? Or is it him just not being good enough?
Or is it a little bit of both?
I feel like it's a little bit of both, right? Because if you're going to be a guy who's able to be one of the top players on your offense, even if you're not targeted, you still have to be able to make the plays when the plays are there to be made. And I've seen too many times where this dude gets the ball right in his hands and he misses
and drops it.
Right. Or
it slipped. I just ate popcorn.
Right. Or he'll catch it and then fumble. Like, there's too many inconsistencies. It's the same thing we talked about with Fields. My bare bones number 2, because I had Kmet last week and it did not pan out very well. So I switched it up, is Khalil Herbert.
Khalil Herbert.
With the Bears and Montgomery being injured, Herbert has shown, whether people want to admit it or not, that he has the capability of filling that role and filling it well.
He's every bit as capable as David Montgomery.
100%. I personally like the way Herbert runs more than Montgomery. I'm not saying I don't like David Montgomery. So, Bears Twitter and whatever, chill out. Because I love David Montgomery. He's on my fantasy football team. Whatever.
So but before Khalil Herbert, expand on Khalil, let me say this. David Montgomery will more than likely not be with the Bears next season. 100% and Khalil Herbert's going to be your number 1 back.
Yep.
So take that into account.
Yeah. I mean, and obviously Montgomery has become a fan favorite. He's a nice dude. He plays hard.
He's a leader of men. He plays hard, never gives up, has the effort, but
I've always been a fan of Matt Forte. He was one of my favorite running backs to watch growing up. And I feel like Montgomery and him have similar styles, but I really like the way that Khalil Herbert plays, where he gets the ball and he knows his job is to go forward. And he has the body type and the running ability to just get the ball and go forward. It's not dancing. It's not, spinning around, going reverse field.
He reminds me of a little bit smaller version of Jordan Howard, honestly.
A little bit, yeah.
When
that's
Jordan
a good
Howard
call.
Was here producing consistently. Still mad about the departure of Jordan Howard all these years later. I mean, the guy had 3 1,200-yard plus seasons, and the Bears were like, nope, we don't want to pay you.
Yeah.
Robbie, we don't need you. See you later.
Well, Robbie has come out and said, though, that without leaving Chicago, he doesn't know if he would have ever been able to fix his kicking problems. So, yeah. But I do like that comparison to Jordan Howard, because he really does run similar. He gets the ball and he says, we're going forward. And when you do that, it's easier for the offensive lineman to go forward than to shuffle and move in different directions. That's why run blocking is easier than pass blocking. Right.
Right. You make one hole. He's a one-cut type back. Get him the ball. Make one cut moving forward.
Put his head down and go.
And
now, he doesn't have blazing speed, but he has enough speed to where when he gets to that line of scrimmage, if you watch, there's a lot of times where he gets the ball and he hits the line and then just boosts
pushes the
through
it. Forward.
Yeah. He'll boost right through the line. And I think he's going to be a big factor in this game, especially coming off of the game that Fields had, whether it's in the passing game or the running game. I think that this guy is going to have a major role today, and unfortunately, he's not on my fantasy football team.
I thought about rostering him after the performance last week, but he was
somebody already has him
in all my leagues.
Yeah.
Realistically, I don't disagree with you. I think Khalil's going to have another solid game. I'm a big Khalil Herbert fan as well. Him and David Montgomery are two different style backs, right? David Montgomery's more your outside zone, bounce it, a little bit of juke, a little bit of spin move, stiff arm. Khalil Herbert's very put your head down, one cut, put your head down and run through. And that's the gritty, that's the type of running back play that we need in the winter months. Y'all want to talk about bear weather for all of you on Bears Twitter that ultimately don't want to move to Arlington because of the bear weather and the lake effect, blah, blah, blah. That's the type of running that you need in January in Soldier Field when it's 12 degrees outside and you can't throw the ball more than 10 times because the football's harder than a rock and, you know, the weather conditions don't allow for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you. I think Khalil's going to have a solid outing today. And for better or worse, I think he's going to be a key to this victory. If Justin Fields struggles early, they're going to run heavy and rely on him. If Justin Fields performs well early, maybe they'll get him involved in a swing pass or, you know, definitely he has the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. We've seen time and time again when they run those swing routes and things like that with him that he's got the hands to do it. So maybe it's a screen pass, whatever the case is. I think either way he's going to be involved and it's going to be good. For our last bare bones of the day, Angelo, I'm going to let you take the lead on number 3. We kind of already alluded to it a little bit earlier in the show. What's our number 3 for this week?
So Bayless Jones Jr. makes his NFL debut today for the Chicago Bears. My thought process with
at
him,
34 years old.
At 20, what is he, 25?
He's 25.
25, so he's an older rookie. I know a lot of people were like, yeah, he's old, why would you draft? Age doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. The guy has played football. He knows what's expected of him in that position that he plays. He's shown in preseason the ability to return kicks, which I think is going to be, like we talked earlier in the show, a huge thing for this Bears offense and itself with the field position game in a game where I personally don't see this being a juggernaut performance by either offense.
No, by no means.
Yeah, I'm not, this isn't going to be 35-30 type of game. This is going to be a hard-nosed, take your shots when it's available, run and ground and pound the ball. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like 6 field goals in this game, but
get out of here. Although I do have Cairo in one of my fantasy leagues by accident, so
he's not playing.
I'll take it. That's right. He's not. Yeah,
he's not playing.
I need to go out and get a kicker. When
I would shuffle that around real quick, but I think Jones needs to be somebody that Fields looks for. Fields has had a problem with surveying the field, looking for more than one option. When he gets comfortable with this guy, that's where I'm going. I think he's a weapon that the Bears don't have when he wasn't on the field. You know what I mean? Like, I know we talked about speed and everything, but I think with his experience, with his speed, his knowledge of, return, I think that we could see a solid game from him. I'm not saying crazy.
Well,
but 45, 50 yards with, maybe a touchdown would be nice to see.
Well, I'm going to say this, it's all about that next man up mentality.
Right.
He's got a chip on his shoulder. He obviously wants to go out and prove that he can perform for this organization, especially when the guys on Bears Twitter are calling him Kevin White 2.0, and he hasn't even seen the field yet, man. Come on, give this kid a break. Small injuries like that happen. It wasn't anything serious.
Yeah.
I think Bayless goes out today. I think he has a solid punt return. I'm not going to say for a touchdown, but I think we see a 35 to 40 yard punt return from Bayless today to jumpstart the offense. And I think we see one touchdown through the air to him. I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. He wants to go out there and help his quarterback. And I think he goes out and executes today. I'm going to say Bayless Jones Jr., over 40 yards, 1 touchdown this afternoon. So there's your second touchdown. I'm saying 1 touchdown to Cole Kmet, 1 touchdown to Bayless Jones Jr.
And Darnell
I might
Mooney's
eat those
still
words
sitting
next
there
week on the
hanging
show.
in the wind.
Darnell Mooney's still hanging in the wind.
I agree. I think he'll have a solid game. I do have an honorable mention. I don't know if that's cool with you or not, but for
unacceptable. Yeah,
for me, I think the Bears defense is an honorable mention. They've played pretty well so far this season. There's been moments where they haven't. Right. I'm not looking for you to be, the 2020 Ravens or whatever. I'm looking for you to be able to hold this Giants team's running game specifically, under.
Right.
I'd like to see under 180 yards. I don't want to be crazy. I know Saquon's having a phenomenal season this year.
Which really surprises me, honestly.
Yeah.
He was like a bounce back player that I had the opportunity in fantasy football to go out and grab Saquon. I stayed away from him because he's injury prone and I wasn't sure he was going to produce.
Right.
But man, oh man, the people that do have him and rolled the dice, they
look smart,
paying
right?
off for him. Yeah.
Yep. It's I think
all hindsight, right?
That's right. Roquan has played well. He didn't look too great against the Packers, but you're going against the Packers, so how much can you really hold that?
He stepped up last week, though.
He did. He played great last week.
16 tackles last week, and
an interception.
The clutch interception there at the end of the game.
Yep.
I think this Bears defense is going to be just fine. I like that you brought it up. I mean, we want to see the consistent play that they've put up, but thus far, other than getting a little bit better in the run game and our rookies getting burned on a couple rookie pick plays that are going to happen to any corners, I don't think the defense has played bad, but they're doing everything they need to do, and they're stepping up in big moments. Eddie Jackson did week 1 with his interception, obviously Roquan last week with his. They're forcing fumbles. We're seeing the peanut punch be re-implemented, and I love that because it's like every time you see this gang tackling, you've got 3 or 4 guys tackling, and one of them's always trying to punch at the ball.
Yep.
Like, I love that intensity, and that's part of Coach Eberflus's hits principle being executed, right? We're finally seeing what a well-disciplined defense looks like again, and it hasn't been that way since Vic Fangio left.
Yeah.
And that's been a while now. I mean, Chuck Pagano wasn't the guy. Sean Desai wasn't the guy.
There were moments, but not no.
And you go back to was that 2018 that Fangio just had an absolute top 5 defense in my opinion.
It was stellar.
And it was a stellar performance. Obviously, we don't have a lot of those guys on this team anymore. With the departure of key pieces like Khalil Mack, who's looking pretty good out there for the Chargers, and who else? Akeem Hicks
is hurt though. He's not even
Hicks,
playing.
It was the right move to move on from him.
Right.
And
with Mack, sure, I mean, the guy. It's only week 3, right? You're going into week 4 right now. Mack has shown the inability to stay healthy. As well.
Yeah.
Right. So
I think the Bears made the right call. I don't want to go back to the past too much. We're talking present, and I think that this defense does just fine today. For me, it's all about the offense, and that's our 3 choices for the bare bones segment this week. We're all offensive, I guess you can say special teams tied into Bayless there a little bit, but primarily all offensive driven. And it's because this offense needs to put up or shut up, and it's time for Justin Fields to look like the Justin Fields that we want to see. Even if that's 2 touchdowns and 200 yards, that's definitely a step in the right direction after the atrocious outing that he had last week. So I don't know, Ace. It's frustrating as a Bears fan right now. I'm not going to lie.
It's a frustrating spot to be in, right?
It's difficult to be 2-1 and be frustrated with your team.
Yep.
Because our record's good, but we're not as good as our record is. And
No.
I think you would agree there.
100%. We're
sometimes
2-1. We
to
could
be
easily
lucky
be
than
0-3. Right.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and any given Sunday and all of those analogies. But realistically, this team needs to be consistent on offense, and that's what we have to see today.
And I feel like as Bears fans, we that's the same narrative, right? Every year we hear, oh, well, the defense stepped up and saved the day. The defense did this, the defense did that. But then at the same breath, we're the first ones to criticize the defense when they don't stop the ball after, 4 quarters of them holding a team,
4 quarters of 3 and outs.
Right, well, you didn't do your job. Well, yeah, but the offense only put up 10 points.
They did their job 94% of the time.
Like, you're going to be mad because they couldn't stop one drive at the end of the game.
They were gassed because the offense went 3 and out 6 times in
exactly.
the first half.
And I think that's where we're at right now. The offense needs to be what carries this team forward. The defense, if you have an average defense and an offense that can score points, you're going to win in this league. If you have an elite defense and an offense that can't score points, it's a crapshoot almost every week.
And that's what we're seeing right now out of our Chicago Bears fans. It's, like I said, it's a tough spot to be in, but I'm still excited for the game, Ace. That's the problem here is, like, my expectations, yes, they're tempered. I'm realistic. But I'm still rocking my Justin Fields jersey. I'm still ready to go for the game. Got food going in the house now. Looking forward to another probably disappointing, edge of the couch, cringy game that the Bears should ultimately win. I guess my biggest concern, if the Bears go out and lose today and Justin Fields looks like shit, we are in for a long rest of this season, my friend.
God.
And that's that's worst case scenario.
Yeah, you thought people were pissed off after a win and Justin played bad. If Justin plays like he did last week and the Bears lose this game, they might burn the stadium down. Just saying.
Chicago Bears fans are some of the toughest fans in the world. Like, it's us and Philly fans. I mean, honestly.
And it's because, like, at least the Eagles have had some success recently, but the Bears have just been kind of stuck in this, like, football purgatory where
they've been in rebuild mode for 25 years. Like, at some point,
and then you had a guy like Pace come in, and he was like, "Oh well, we're gonna just try to bandage all these problems instead of actually fix them," and it just never came. And I'm tired of seeing just throw a Band-Aid.
Slaps the flex steel tape on the pipe
flex
that's
tape
leaking
on the
high pressure water.
Yep. That's kind of how
exactly what Ryan Pace did during his time.
Yep, 100%.
But no, I'm right there with you, my friend. I think that, as you said, we are in football purgatory, and it's well timed that the Bears have climbed out of this cycle. It's going to take time. It's not an overnight thing. I like what the current regime is building here. I think we made a solid choice at general manager, an assistant GM who's strong as well. I do think that you see the general manager role change hands after this season. I think obviously with the departure of Ted Phillips, that it makes sense for Poles to step up, be promoted into that presidential role, and then you've got a solid assistant GM who can flow right into the GM position, and you keep Eberflus as your head coach. I think that's what's going to happen at the end of the year. Only time will tell with that, but ultimately we're talking about Bears-Giants right now, and let's give our score prediction before we get out of here, because I got to go wrap some food up before the game starts here, fella. What do you think the score is going to be today? You want me to go first on this one?
Yeah.
All right. Here's Tarbill's bold prediction of the day. Brought to you by no one. My bold prediction here is that, again, Justin Fields comes out, throws for 2 touchdowns, 200-plus yards. I think the Bears go out and put up, I'm going to say 28 points today on offense.
Holy shit. All right. That is a bold prediction.
14 of those come from Justin Fields. The other 2 touchdowns come from our guy Khalil Herbert. He showed he can do it last week, so if Fields can do his part, it's not out of the ordinary. I am going to say the final score of this game is 28-17 Chicago. and it's not going to be close. I'm going to say that last touchdown to make it a 17-point game comes in the fourth quarter in garbage time, and the Bears hold a 10-plus point lead the majority of the game and seal the deal and take it home.
I like your thought process. I love the boldness of the prediction. I think this is going to be a hard game to watch. I think
it's going to be 10-3.
No, I was thinking like 19-17.
Okay.
Like you'll see.
You did allude to the field goals.
Yes.
It's going to be a kicker's
I think
battle,
you'll see 4 field goals from the Bears and then 1 touchdown, whether that's from Justin Fields or a special teams return.
So let me ask you this. With Cairo Santos out this week, is Gill taking over the field goal responsibilities?
No, they signed some dude. I don't some Badgley guy. I don't know. Not Ryan our guy. Badgley? No, not Ryan, but some other guy. Michael, I think.
Badge, you out there kicking field goals for us today?
I mean, they're in New York, so
right. He's pretty damn close.
Maybe. Yeah, he's pretty close out that way. So, but yeah, I got 19-17. You know, it's not going to be a fun game to watch. I'm probably going to spend most of my time putting up Halloween decorations today and pop my head in to see the game every now and then if it's going the way that I think it's going to go.
Fair enough. I'm probably going to spend my day. Well, I'm going to watch the first half, and if it's unfavorable, I'll probably be drinking some Tito's and lemonade by the second half. So,
I mean,
we'll see what
happens.
Never
go wrong with Tito's. That's just my opinion.
We'll see what happens, but ultimately, we're both agreed that we think this is a winnable game for the Bears, correct?
Yep. I got the Bears win in 19-17.
You got the Bears 19-17. I've got the Bears 28-17. My predictions have been pretty close this year, my friend.
They have been.
Week 1, I was almost spot on had it not been for the 2 missed field goals due to the weather.
Facts.
So
you were pretty.
I'm just saying.
You were pretty on the ball with that one for sure.
Still, before we end the show, I do have to say, how do you get penalized for putting a towel on the field to try to dry up the grass? That's what we're in as Bears fans. We are that towel that's going on the field figuratively. Like,
yeah.
1 step forward, 2 steps back, just dumb penalties. We plague ourselves. But at the end of the day, we're saying the Bears are going to get a win today. So let's go out and get it.
A 3-1 Bears team sounds really nice going into next week.
Absolutely. That was what I was going to allude to. 3-1. Maybe this team can still get to 8 or 9 wins.
It'll be difficult, but who knows?
It's a tough road, but
I just need them to hit the over. That's it. Just 7 games, I'm good. I'm happy. I got a bet on the over-under 6.5. I bet over, so fingers crossed. That's all I need right now.
All right. Thank you, everyone who has tuned in today, both on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We are live every Sunday here on USN for the Out of Hibernation Bears pregame show. Again, we appreciate that you've taken the time to join us. We will be back with you each and every Sunday through the season, with the exception of the bye week. Maybe we will do a show on the bye week. And
we did a bye week bash last week. Maybe we'll do one last year. Maybe we'll do one this year.
We'll talk about Mitch Trubisky and how he's not the starting quarterback of the Steelers by then.
Yeah.
Who knows? But realistically, guys, thanks for joining us. Hope everyone has a good game day Sunday. And as always, I got to end it with a bear down.
Bear down.
And have a good day.